It's the Man Space Podcast. Take it away, fellas.
Thank you, Voice Girl, and welcome once again to another edition of the Man Space Podcast. Now, this is the voice of Russ, and with me as always, he is the Grady of this show.
Well, I got to be Grady. Grady was a drunk, man.
Enough said. The one and only Big Les.
What up, Fred? I could have called you Esther, but you know where we're going.
Oh, man. But, you know, the Man Space Nation is all in an uproar, and it's all your fault.
Yeah, no doubt.
We've been getting all types of messages from the Man Space Nation wanting to know how to make a Kool-Aid pie.
Oh, my God.
I've done it twice now. I used strawberry and I've used orange flavored Kool-Aid.
Okay.
Strawberry has so far been my favorite one. And when I would serve it, I would slice some bananas on it and put across the top of it. Man, sets it off right.
Yeah.
The orange one tastes just like a creamsicle. So if you like that flavor, that's what the orange one tastes like to me.
Go get you a graham cracker crust, the 9-inch graham cracker crust, a can of sweet condensed milk, Cool Whip, and a pack of Kool-Aid. You will not be freaking disappointed. You hear me?
Oh, man. So how you been, brother?
Man, I've been trying to make it, dog. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Can't complain.
Mm.
You know, had a good weekend. Went to go see my parents.
Yeah?
Yeah,
Okay.
man. Yeah. So got to kick it with them for a little while and, you know, hang out. You know, everything was good. You know,
Yeah.
you can miss, I didn't know being this old, you can still miss your mom.
Oh,
You know?
yeah, man.
Ain't that crazy?
Yeah, man.
For 18 years, I was trying to get away from.
That's the way it is, man.
Yeah, I
That's
got to
the way
get
it
away
is.
from this crazy lady.
Yeah, because you don't understand all the stuff
Yeah, man.
that you're going through back then.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because you thinking, gosh, this is the worst. And then the minute you get away from home and you realize, man, this stuff wasn't so bad.
Yeah,
You know?
I know.
And these policies was here to help me out.
Yeah, no joke, man.
Man.
But it's crazy out here now, though, man.
If I could go back home to live rent free, yeah, man.
I ain't gonna say that. Nah, I love my mama, but I don't know. I'm gonna be going back. You know what I'm saying? I'll just move closer. You know?
So before we get into our real topic today,
Yeah.
did you? I'm sure you had to have seen it.
Mm-hmm.
It was a video where this woman was recording the boyfriend, ex-boyfriend, baby daddy, whatever, bringing food for his child,
Yes.
but didn't bring food for the rest of the child.
Yes, I
For
saw
her
that,
other children.
man. I saw that, and I it made me cringe a little bit.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Because, you know, this dude, he was like, you know, well, just send him out to the car.
Right.
You know, and she like, no, I ain't sending him out to the car. You ain't bring nothing for nobody else. You know, I got other kids. And you're like, why? So this mine. This my
Right.
kid.
Right.
You know? So I understood 100% where he coming from.
Mm-hmm.
I understood kind of where she coming from too. They are brothers and sisters from that end.
Right.
You know? And if one gets, they all get on that side.
Mm-hmm.
So how can she allow something like that to happen in her household?
There's an approach, though, that should have been handled.
It should have been handled. I
It
agree.
should have been handled a
I
little
agree.
differently, right?
I agree on both sides.
I'm not going to sit there and put it on him because the way she was acting, I wouldn't have done nothing for any of those other kids.
Yeah.
You know,
Well,
especially.
all I'm saying is that I get where you're about to go with it. I'm guessing that how it transpired, it could have been handled differently.
Yes.
You know, but at the same time, my man could have handled it differently too. Hey, I'm about to come by and bring my son some breakfast. You know, you want me to bring your kids some breakfast? You got some cash? And they could have all fed. That's all. That could have ended the whole conversation right there.
For her to already had the phone set up to record him, she knew he was coming.
Yeah.
So if she knew he was coming,
that was a setup.
She could have sat there and said, "Can you bring something?" Yeah. Instead of automatically assuming that he's going to do for these other children and not do for his.
Right. And that is the classic situation of why we be in so much drama and co-parenting situations. You know, because there is no expectation for him to do anything for her children. Right. You know, those are her children. They're not his children. It's one thing
if he's in the house. These are, you know, he's married to this woman, or he's dating this woman or whatever.
That's right. It's a
whole different situation, because when you're in that role, you're assuming
the expectations.
Right. But you're assuming the father figure role, right?
Absolutely.
Whether or not you are or not, you're assuming that role. But in this situation, you know, and we don't know all the logistics around it. We can just make assumptions, but I think it's pretty safe to say that they're not still together.
Yeah, absolutely not with that conversation.
Right.
Absolutely not. And the bad part about it is it's funny you bring that up today, because I just seen it today.
Yeah.
I just saw it today. Yeah. And it was sad to me because there's a lot of things going on in the world. There's a lot of things that our community can be better at. You know what I'm saying? And relationships is one. You know, communication is just, it's so strong. You know what I mean? Communication can stop so many things from going wrong.
Absolutely.
And we got to stop setting each other up for the okey doke. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If anybody we should trust we should trust the people that live next to us, the community. You know what I mean? And build each other instead of
think a lot of times, because here's the thing, and this is not saying that this was her situation, but this is what I have seen in other people's situations, right? And people that I've talked to that have been in similar type situations and different things like that. Is the woman has friends around her that are in her ear. And
it ain't even got to be friends. It could be family.
It can be family.
Bruh, it could be family.
It's a cycle, right?
Yes.
It is a cycle that somewhere has to be broken, but until you end up in a situation to where that cycle can be broken, right? I was talking to a buddy of mine the other day, and he was talking about how his girl was like, you ain't no different than no other dude, right? You ain't no different. You ain't no different, right? And I'm just like, okay, first of all, she wouldn't be trying to marry you if you wasn't any different.
Wasn't any different.
Right.
Or you weren't perceived as being different.
Right. And then second, it's a lot of it is what she has been taught and what she hears from her girlfriends.
Her peers. That's it.
Her girlfriends, her family, what she's seen, what she's grown up with. There's that cycle, right? Yeah. You got to break that cycle, right? Yeah. And it's even on the male side too, right?
I was just getting ready to go there. Yep.
We have to be at a point where we can show something different and be something different.
Yeah.
Right. Because not to say that this is that situation, right?
Mm-hmm.
Just for a general example, right? If a man goes up and he sees his father beating up on his mother,
Yeah.
unless he takes a stand to try to break that cycle, 9 times out of 10,
he's gonna be exactly what his daddy is.
Right. If he sees his dad being a drunkard, he's going to be a drunkard.
Yep. Somebody somewhere has to change the cycle.
Right.
And generally, it's from one of the children that will change the cycle in their life.
Right.
Because they didn't like what they saw.
Right.
It's a lot of times that, you hear from these billionaires, well, I grew up and what's Tupac's favorite line? Mama come home late trying to fix us a hot plate.
Right.
Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? And he could have went down that same road, but he didn't. He made something else out of himself and he took care of mama. You know what I mean? So it has the propensity you can go both ways with it, and it could be, it's horrible out here, man. My thing with that too is that, now that I'm sitting back and looking on this and we're talking about it, I think that there's a little pettiness going on too. Dude showing up with one bag of McDonald's, she got 3 children. You know what I mean? But the other day, baby daddies ain't doing this. Right. You know what I'm saying? So I'm gonna show them. I'm sure I'm the best. I'm gonna take my son something. But then at the same time, what kind of mother is she if she allows that?
Right.
But it was a way to do things.
Now, see, if I'm that dude, I'm being petty because now she done put that video out there for everybody to see to think that she's right. And I'm sure the majority of the people, because I read a few of the comments here and there.
Oh, God, yeah.
And it was overwhelmingly on the side of the guy. There were several that was, okay, both of them are wrong. There were several that was in her side, but overwhelmingly it was in favor of the guy in this situation.
Why can't he do this and why can't he do that?
Right.
Well, you should have just went and picked your kid up from her house and took him to school and fed him on the way to school. She wouldn't have had to know. Wouldn't have been no other issues.
But for me being that guy, I'm showing that to a lawyer and I'm getting custody. Yeah. Because if she's sitting there.
I don't think that's enough to get you custody.
Dude, I mean, she's sitting there saying that she don't get her stamps until the 11th. That means, okay, well, these kids not eating. They in a bad situation where they can't eat.
Well, see.
And so that's
if you take it there,
I would take it exactly there, and I would try to get my kids out of that situation.
So me and the missus always have this conversation about how men can just walk away, right, and women have to stay, right. And she always says to me, she was like, it's always the man. He gets in the situation. And he gets to get up and he gets to walk away.
That's because our system is built that way. It's built where the woman 9 times out of 10 is going to get the children. And because the women are the motherly aspect. So the woman gets the child because of our system being built that way. Instead of saying, okay, you two are going to do joint custody. Right off the bat, they make a father prove the fact that he can do joint custody.
He can be joint. That's just as much as his child as it is hers.
Right.
And I tell her all the time, I said, it's not that the fact that, he gets to walk away. I said, everything is given to you right away. Now, and we have to fight for it.
Right. And that's not to say that every dude is doing that, because there are a bunch of dudes that are not just getting to walk away. They walk away, period, because they don't want no parts. Right. These are some ratchet dudes that really have nothing really going on for them to begin with.
Yeah. But my thing is this. We are men too, right? We have.
I would hope so.
Well, yeah. But what I'm trying to say, I guess, is that Men have rights too,
Yes.
right? But we don't exercise our rights properly, right?
Mhm.
We allow them to take us down this path
Mhm.
that someone else makes the rules for both of us
Mhm.
instead of us making the rules for us. You know what I mean? We allow somebody else to make the rules. Oh, you can't live over here unless you tell us who your baby daddy is so we can get child support off of him.
Mhm.
You know, and we're going to give it to you. You know what I'm saying? And we're going to take it from him and we're going to give it to you. And you can do whatever you want to do with it.
Mhm.
You know, but you'll keep getting it as long as, you know, you stay here or you Section 8 or whatever the case may be. I don't know how the whole system works, so I don't want to speak too much on it. I just know that men, we need to start taking a more forward position when it comes to this situation with your children, right? They are your children. You know, you can have custody of them. You know, you're out here living just like she is living. You know what I mean? You can make it work. So make it work. You know?
So, you know, and all right. So you're familiar with Kelly Clarkson, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So did you see the recent with her divorce settlement?
Uh-uh.
So she has 2 or 3 children with this man.
Right.
And they just got a divorce.
Mm-hmm.
He got custody of the kids.
Mm.
He got a $1.3 million settlement.
Mm.
And then she has to pay over $45,000 per child
Monthly?
every month.
Mm.
$45,000 per child every month.
Well, here's the kicker. He was probably the primary caregiver while she was out on the road making these millions.
Maybe. I don't want to make an assumption.
I don't want to make an
that.
assumption either,
Yeah.
but all I'm going to say is that these
I'm not really familiar with him in the situation, right? I've seen her and familiar with her. I'm not familiar with him.
All I know is when you're an entertainer like this, from my understanding, most of your money is made on the road.
Mm-hmm. Well, she
shows,
has, you know, she's bigger than music now. I mean, she's got the talk show.
Now,
she's got several different things going on. I mean, she's a mini Oprah coming up. You know.
Yeah. But you know, and I don't know, man, because I found that who else was that had one of those type of suits that the female was giving the dude that kind of money. Who was it? I can't remember. Was it Halle Berry? No.
I don't know.
It was another actress or singer, female singer, had children, got divorced, and had to pay an obscene amount of money to their ex.
Mm-hmm.
Because you know, they may have been a lawyer, but they weren't making, you know, they couldn't afford to live in a $50 million home and stuff like that.
Right.
You know, and they were the primary caregiver.
Right.
In the relationship, because mommy was always on the road, you know, making all those millions so they can live. You know what I mean? So I don't know. I can't remember who it was. But I know it was something crazy like that. A lot of bread.
I tell you, it goes back to Chris Rock, man. Mm-hmm. And him saying, I don't agree with OJ, but I understand.
Yeah, right.
I really understand.
Yeah.
Pull appear in my Google News feed, and after about the 3rd day in a row of it popping up, I felt like this was a sign that we need to discuss this on the show. So this article comes from the website mindbodygreen.com.
Right.
and it's
Right.
entitled 11 Things to Talk About on a First Date to Spark a Connection from a Dating Coach. Now, I think I want to take this a little bit further because, we did the Love Doctor stuff, and we did the pickup lines to try to help the young bloods out and everything like that. But from our conversation from earlier with people getting a divorce and things like that, really, once you get married, you still are dating your spouse. Men, you are still dating your wife. Just because y'all lay in the same bed every night doesn't mean that you still don't have to date your wife.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So we're going to get into this article. A good conversation on a first date sometimes can be elusive. In many cases, you're talking to a total stranger that you virtually know nothing about.
Yeah.
But yet, you still want to impress them, while also sort of trying to evaluate compatibility. There's a lot happening at once. So to keep the conversation flowing, here's a few ideas of what to talk about on that first date encounter, or in our case, things to talk about when you and your spouse are out on a date. Don't feel like you have to jump into an inquisition as soon as the date starts. The deeper conversations will come more naturally once you've established a bit of a foundational rapport between the two of you. When you arrive on your first date, try starting with a little bit of casual conversation, drawing from the context you're in. For example, if your date picked the restaurant you're at, ask her if she's been here before. How did she discover this place? What do you like about it? Or if you're at a bar that specializes in quirky cocktails, what's your go-to drink? You should also talk about the part of town you're in. So I think this one kind of works in multiple ways because, my wife and I, we've been in the town that we're in a little over 2 years. So we still explore new places and things like that. And every now and then we'll try something new. Like either I'll find something and just take us to it, or she'll find something and take us to it. So I think that you can continue to have those type conversations even when you are married. See, some people refer to this category as conversation small talk, but the key to making it feel vibrant and interesting is actually engaging with what the other person is sharing and leaning into opportunities for you to both start and disclosing unique details about yourself. The initial disclosures and early rapport building will oil up the gears so that the following conversations will feel much easier and more natural.
Okay.
Number 2, ask your date what their day or week has been like. When's the last time you just sit there and, babe, how was your day? When's the last time you done that to Miss Celeste?
Every day after work, every day, we just sit down and talk. If I can tell you one thing, we have wonderful, wonderful communication in our relationship.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. We talk every single day. We ask each other, how was our work day? Then of course, then it goes to, what do you want to eat for dinner? And don't nobody have a clue. That's a 35-minute conversation right there on food alone.
This might seem like a boilerplate question, but don't let it be. Think of this question as a way of tapping into what's actually on top of their mind right now. When people talk about how their day of the week is going, they usually reveal a little bit about what's spinning their wheels at the present, what problems they're currently having, what dreams they're currently having. This can be pretty interesting because a lot of times talking about, the things that you deal with at work and, what projects you're working on. And I think this one is very key because it's not something that is ever ending. It doesn't matter if you're on your first date, second date, 50th date, 10th anniversary, 40th anniversary. You always want to engage in what the other person has been doing, especially when you're in an environment where you work separately, you're gone 8, 10, 12 hours a day, and now you want to come home. You want to know, hey, what's going on with the other person, And you have to show genuine interest in what they're talking about.
Because her work husband dating her. every day.
Mine work from home. I ain't got to worry about that one.
That's why I say mine upstairs. I'm a work husband and husband.
Number 3, talk about what's really happening in your world. Bring up things that are presently on top of your mind. Don't worry about trying to show off your highlights or big accomplishments. Be real about what life is actually like for you these days, both good and the bad. People enjoy being around those who are willing to be open and vulnerable. I don't know about that one.
Right.
Because if you're going out on a date with somebody, this is a first date, you might find out some stuff that might...
You really don't want to know.
Right.
Well, it's not too bad to know something early, but yeah, you might find out some things that's going to shock you, because there are some current events right now that people have some very different views on.
There's so many things out there, and I'm like, unless you have a strong stance or an opinion about something, because I think a lot of times, maybe in the dating world, maybe they should open these questions up and get into the world views, because it'll save you some heartache later on. Because
you know who you messing with.
Right. Because I'm sitting there and I'm like, how did they end up together? You know, were you just blinded by sex that you didn't see that dude was like a Fox News right-wing fanatical?
Right.
You know, I'm like, come on.
Yeah. I get it. I get it. And, you know, I'm not one who believes your political views have to line up to be married either, though. You know, and I've met people who says there's no way they would have to be lined up. You know, but I don't think
your political views do not have to be lined up. However, I think that you can't be a far right and a far left.
I mean, a liberal, yeah.
You have to be a little bit more middle of the road with each other to make that work. Or if somebody is a far right, then somebody's got to be in the middle. Or if somebody's far left, somebody's got to be in the middle. But I think that, you know, for the most part, with that, you got to be in the middle when it comes to somewhere in the middle, right?
Somewhere, yeah.
You know, because I think for me, I can float the line between either side, and depending on what issues are, right?
Yeah, see, I'm issue driven, right? I'm issue driven in which way I would go. You know what I mean? And in my opinion, is the only opinion that I'm going to listen to, really. I mean, because that's how I feel about stuff. Like, I was having a conversation with a friend of mine before, and I plain to asked them, I was like, so I and there's nothing wrong with your political party affiliation, right? I don't care what that is. I just wanted to make a point to him. And I said, well, what is your party? You know, I'm a Democrat. Whoop, 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 whoop. I was like, okay, that's cool. I was like, let me ask you a couple questions. How do you feel about, you know, people on welfare? Should they get a job and pay some of that money back? You know? And he was like, oh, absolutely. I was like, well, you know, okay. I was like, that's a Republican view. That's what Republicans want. They want you to get, they don't want it to be a free for all. They want you to get on. And once you get a job, you pay a little bit back, you know, help the next person in line and keep it moving. So he gave me this stupid look. You know what I'm saying? And then I was like, you know, what about housing and things like that? And, you know, I forgot what it was, but these were more Republican views of stuff. And I was like, you might really need to really understand what the views of your voting party are, you know what I mean? And where things came from, you know, because if people really paid attention and they went back and they say, oh, well, this and this and this and that, you need to pay attention to the Republicans and the Democratic parties. First of all, to me, they both a bunch of crap. You know what I mean? Everybody need to. I think all of them need to be fired after this past couple years. All of them need to be fired, and we need to hire new ones. And we should be able to fire them. Not we shouldn't have to wait 2, 3, 4 years. You know what I'm saying? You should be able to fire these jokers. They don't wait 2, 3, 4 years at no job. If you ain't doing a good job, they get you up out of there. You know what I'm saying? It should be left up to the people because they serve us.
Mm-hmm. I tell you, and this is a whole nother topic, but I'll vote for anybody who sits there and can straighten this mess out with why I'm being taxed on both ends. I think that's the biggest scam in the world right there, because why am I being taxed on the income before I get it in my pocket? Then you want to tax me on the goods I'm purchasing. Then you want to tax me year after year on something that is considered the American dream of buying a home and buying a vehicle. You want to tax me every single year that I have those things. And then you want to tax me on the gas that I put in it into my car. You want to tax me on the electricity that I use to power my home, and the fact that I need a phone to talk on. You want to tax me on that too?
Everything you need to survive is taxed.
Right. You want to tax me on it. That is ridiculous. So I think anybody who can straighten that crap out, I'll vote for you. I don't care what party you in. I'll vote for you. You sit there and tell me you're going to end that crap. Don't tax me on all ends, and then talk about y'all got a deficit. BS. Deficit my behind.
It's because they're not doing what they should be doing with the monies that they were receiving. How are we supposed to be the best country in the world, and we can't even afford health care for everyone?
Why is health care coming out of my check and I still got to sit there and pay a bill?
Exactly. That's exactly what I was getting ready to go. Why should I get a bill? Why should I be getting a bill? Or why can I get the coverage, the medical coverage that I should be getting?
Right.
I'm paying insurance. There's no way I should be able to go to the pharmacy and get a prescription and they say $95.
Right.
That happened to me today. Today. I don't understand for the life of me how our seniors are making it.
Right.
I don't understand it, because now that I've never had to take prescription drugs before. So now that I have, I done got a little older and some things are happening and I'm trying to reverse, but I have to take prescription drugs now, right? And I go and I get these drugs and I'm like, I never used to understand when I heard them say people had to make a decision for food or medication. And there were elderly people eating dog food and cat food because they needed their medications more than they needed fresh food.
Mm-hmm.
Man, my heart breaks for those people.
Mm-hmm.
Because now I'm sitting there at the counter and the man tells me today, $95 for what? And he holds up one little thing and it was like, this is $95. Well, put it back.
Right. Mm-hmm.
I'm not paying $95 for that. I'll call my insurance company tomorrow. We'll find something different because I'm going for free, cuz you pay. I mean, think about it. People are paying car notes for insurance.
Right.
And that is ridiculous. And then you got 200-300 million people, or how many people are on the planet or in the United States, and everybody paying for insurance? There's some really big fat cats out here, And then my doctor, oh my God, see, this just ran me down a rabbit hole. Because my doctor, I go to him, I sit there, have a 15-20 minute conversation with him, 15-20 minutes with the nurse, 30 minutes in total. I get a bill for $285.
Mm-hmm.
And ain't nobody touched me. At least give me a what they call it, a wraparound. You know what I'm saying? Something.
We done got way off track, but I'm sitting there like, man, all these folks sitting here screaming and worried about guns and their rights. I mean, get these taxes right. Y'all worried about the wrong things.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, ah, number 4, I don't suggest this for a married couple, you know, and I really don't suggest this for a dating couple either, unless you met this way. But it says bring up something from their dating profile.
Well, that ain't gotta be bad. It's like, oh, you like sports.
If that's how you met, sure, bring that up. But dog, if I sit there and introduce you to my homegirl, right, and you say, "Oh, so I saw your dating profile that you like pets." Wait a minute. You was hooked up through somebody, a mutual acquaintance. So now you're looking mad stalkerish. So yeah, so I only suggest this if by chance. Yeah, so that's about all the time I'm gonna spend on that one because
you got a goldfish named Charlie. I saw that on your profile.
right. You know, because all right. So I did many years ago, way before Mrs. Russ. I did eHarmony, right? Because I worked like crazy and everything. So I tried eHarmony, and it was one of those things like I was trying to encourage a friend of mine to get out there and start dating. And so I told him to do it. And he's like, I said, well, all right, I'll do a profile too, right?
What a
Just to get him to do it.
What a great friend you are.
I know, right? I know. So it's like the amount of questions that they ask you to try to match you up. Like if you just sat there and read their whole profile, all that small talk is gone.
Yeah.
Because all those small talk questions are all in that profile. And then you have to remember, because a lot of times you end up getting matched with like more than one.
Ooh.
You may end up with like 10 different matches. So now you got to try to remember which facts went to which person.
Yeah, see, that's why I wasn't good at none of those things.
Yeah, man. So I'm like, nah, I'm not a big fan of that one. I'll leave that one alone because you can get yourself hemmed up. No, that's not me. What do you mean I like puppies? I like cats.
Now, I don't know what you was reading, killer.
As we do each week, we like to close the show with a little bit of inspiration. In life, we do things sometimes we wish we had never done. Some we wish we could replay 1,000,000 times in our head, but they all make us who we are. And in the end, they shape every detail about us. If we were to reverse any of the things that have happened in our lives, we wouldn't be the person we are today. So just live, make mistakes, make wonderful memories, but never, ever second guess who you are, where you've been, and most importantly, where you're going.
It's beautiful. It's beautiful.
Now, Manspace Nation, we got way off track today.
Yeah,
and didn't
no doubt.
finish up what we were trying to talk about. However, we're going to jump right in next week. So join us for part 2 of this episode next week, wherever you get your podcast. Now, on that note,
we out of here.
Thank you for listening to this episode of The Man Space.
Whichever platform you listen to us on, make sure you subscribe and don't miss a show.
Remember to keep up with all the Manspace updates on our website, themanspacepodcast.com.
And you can follow us on Instagram at ManspaceNat1.
Until next time, Manspace Nation, he's Les, I am Russ, and we are out of here. You will not be freaking disappointed. You hear me?